Hey, good morning, guys. Wanted to hop on here and to share something with you guys, and I wouldn't say that it's been an emotional moment, but it's been a moment where you begin to praise God and thank God for what He's already done in your life and what He's doing and what He's going to do. And I wanted to come and share a dream, and we're going to talk about it. And the dream was so real. And when I woke up and God told me, say, you have to share this dream because it's going to set a lot of people free and it's going to liberate them. And the Lord told me, He said, son, it's going to help them understand that even certain medication that they're taking can't help them with what they're walking through concerning this dream that I showed you. In the dream, y'all, I was in this big, beautiful house, and it was a brand new house. It was built in. So after they completed building the house, I went into the house, and the walls, they was painted perfectly, and the floors they were spotless, and the lights were on, and everything looked it complete from the outside. But what was crazy is when I stepped on the inside, the rooms were completely empty. There was no furniture. There was no pictures on the wall. There was no sound. There was no form of activity inside of the house. And the only thing that I could hear was a hollow echo that filled the air with silence. And in the dream, y'all, I stood in the middle of that empty space. I began to say to myself, how can something so beautiful feel so empty? And as I stood there in the dream, the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me. He said, son, this is what many lives look like. He said, they are built successful and shining from the outside. But he said, son, but they're empty on the inside because I'm not there. And it was just a simple dream, and I woke up in my mind automatically went to Genesis 1 and 2 and the book of Ecclesiastes 1 and 2, and we'll go into those scriptures. But as I came out of the dream, I was sitting up and I began to feel the tears begin to run down my face because I've been there before. Because you can be at a place in life where everything looks complete, but without the presence of God, or allowing God not to deal with that void, your soul will be just like my soul at one point. It was just like that house with no furniture. Y'all, I was standing, but I was empty. And the worst people are some of the most dangerous people you can deal with are those that are standing, but they're completely empty. Because I want to talk to say they can dabasi kandi. Kandidere dabasi. Because I want to talk to some people that's dealing with an emptiness, or you're dealing with a void, and you're doing all you can do to fulfill that void or that emptiness. But at the end of the day, it's like you're in a cycle that you're constantly repeating, but you're still not able to fill that void. And I wanted to come on this morning to talk to you, to let you know the emptiness and the void that you're trying to fill can only be fulfilled by God. I don't care who you are. I don't care what title you carry, what position you hold, how much money you have, where you live, what you drive. There's a place in every person's life that no person, what you possess in the natural materialistically, there's no achievement that can satisfy the void that God can only fill. Because just like me, if you look around, you'll see so many people spending their entire lives chasing after things, hoping that the next accomplishment or the next relationship or what they can possess in the natural, they're hoping that it can finally make them feel complete and whole. But could I be honest with you guys? No matter how much you gain, no matter how much success you gain, at the end of the day, there is still going to be a void or an emptiness on the inside of you. Let's go back to the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve, and how Adam was in perfect fellowship with God, and that fellowship eventually turned into a relationship. And that relationship, it was their source, peace, joy. It was their identity. But when sin entered into the world, that connection was broken, y'all. And ever since then, can I just be honest? People have been in a position where they have been trying to fill that missing space with everything but God. I know what I'm talking about. I've been there, y'all. And if you don't come to the if you don't come to the place of allowing God to deal with that emptiness or that void, you will come to a place of depression. You will come to a place of waking up and you feel as though you don't have any purpose. And sometimes, y'all, that thing can get so deep, it'll take you to a place where you don't want to even live. Oh, yeah, I'm talking to somebody. Because in the world, you got everything together. Your makeup is flawless. Your house is beautiful. Your job, you're making the money. But you're on the verge of but you're on the verge of a nervous breakdown. You're wondering day by day, how am I really surviving? I got it together in the world, but the minute I go home and close the door, I'm falling to pieces. But the Lord is saying, I want to deal with the void. I want to deal with the emptiness. And when I woke up, God gave me Genesis 1 and 2. And the Bible said the earth was without form. My God, God is talking to somebody. God is talking to somebody. And the Bible said the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Bible says, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. And I begin to look at this. And if you look at this, before God spoke creation, y'all, into existence, there was an emptiness. There was darkness. And the Bible says, and the earth was without form. In other words, y'all, it existed, but without purpose. Didn't have any directions. But the thing that I love about God, that even though, y'all, that there was an emptiness, but the Spirit of God was still present. My God. Y'all didn't catch that. Even though there was an emptiness, but the Spirit of God was still present. And going back to what I said, it existed, but without purpose. Just think about the people. We're not just talking about the people in the world, but there's people in the church. Yeah, you're carrying a title. You have the ability to preach, prophesy, and teach. You flowing in the gifts. God using you in signs, wonders, and miracles. But there's a part of you that is still empty. You're existing, but there's no purpose. So what do you mean, prophet? If you ever looked at movies that have zombies, you would see that those zombies, they're living, but they don't have life. And to live means to exist, but to have life means to have purpose. And God told me, say, son, the majority of the people just existing, but they don't have life. Because whenever you allow the emptiness of the void to be stronger than life, it's just like that zombie. You're walking around without purpose. You don't have a sense of direction. But what God is saying, even though there may be a void or emptiness, but just like my spirit was present when the earth was dark, when the earth was empty, when the earth was without form. He said it was without form, but he said, but my spirit was present. So let me help you understand the difference, because in the Bible it says that the Spirit moved upon the waters. Because I just can't fulfill the void of the empty just coming upon you, but you got to invite me in. You got to invite me in, because how many of y'all know that there's a difference when the Spirit is upon you and when the Spirit is in you? But when the Spirit is in you, you got to give the Spirit permission to fill the void. Yeah, I'm talking to the church people, because some of y'all are right now experiencing a moment where you are without form and you're void on the inside. And yeah, you have the appearance of life, but just as the earth existed before creation, but spiritually you're empty, you're disconnected, you're unfulfilled. I know what I'm talking about. I can't talk about something that I hadn't walked through. Some of us, yeah, we got the career, but still and yet we're empty on the inside. We got the house, we got the car, we got everything in the natural, materialistic that we always wanted, always desired, but still, and yet there's an emptiness on the inside of you. Yeah, you got the title. You carrying the apostle, the prophet, the evangelist, the pastor, the teacher, but deep within, there's something that's still missing. You got the BBLs. You taking shots to get your body the way that you desire to get it. You taking the Botox. You're doing everything surgically to fix the outer appearance, but deep on the inside, there's still a void. There's still an emptiness. You have the degrees, you have the associates, you have the masters, you have the doctrine. Yeah, you're very intellectual. You're very smart, but on the inside, there's still an emptiness. So, what are you saying, prophet? Is that missing piece? Is that void? Is that space that only God can feel? What do you mean? Let's talk about the woman that he met at the well. And Jesus began to conversate with her. And he began to tell her how many husbands she've had. And the one she had wasn't even hers. It's amazing how he shifted the conversation. He began to tell her that it's going to come a time that you would no longer worship on this mountain. But they that worship me must worship me in spirit and in truth. In other words, Jesus began to deal with her twofold. He was talking to her spiritually, but he was dealing with the void that she was trying to fulfill through a man. And what Jesus was saying, what he was saying was, what you're looking for in a man can only be fulfilled by you coming into the presence of God. Kataba, kikandio tabatsi kata. And that's what God is saying. What you're looking for is not in a man. It's not in a woman. It's not in the bottom of a bottle. It's not in drugs. It's not in sex. He said, you got to come to a place of my presence. Y'all, I remember I was dealing with this at one point in my life, and it was real heavy. And I remember the Lord speaking to me saying, son, what you are dealing with is a bottomless void. And I remember asking the Lord, I said, Lord, what is a bottomless void? And the Lord spoke to me. He said, son, there's a part of you. There's a space that has no end in your life. He said, no foundation and no fullness. In other words, y'all, God was telling me that there was a space with no bottom. And God began to show me that the only thing it was doing, y'all, it was allowing me or causing me to go deeper and deeper, but still yet no fulfillment. And I remember God speaking to me. He spoke to me. And the Lord told me, he said, son, it's like you're falling with no ground to catch you. I can feel you. You got the money. Your checking account is where it needs to be. Your saving account is on point. But you're falling. And it's as if though there's no ground to catch you. And I remember God speaking to me when I was going through this. And God saying to me, Son, as long as you continue to have this bottomless void, there would never be real stability, a real support in your life. I said, God, what do you mean there would be no real stability or real support? Because God's saying, if you don't give me permission to come in and to feel that emptiness, if you don't give me permission to come in and fill that void, there's no real stability. There's no real support. Could I just talk to a couple of people? And sometimes we put ourselves in this position because we feel like we have more to prove to people. And we have to make people feel like that. We're living life. We're enjoying life. But in reality, we put a great performance out in front of the stage. But we're falling pieces behind the stage. And y'all, I had to experience this. I'm being real. I'm being transparent because I literally want to talk to some people to literally save your life. I'm not just talking about spiritually, but sometimes this thing can take you to a place in life where it'll literally make you take your physical life. And y'all, one thing that I have to learn, and just like some of y'all probably think that, you feel like that you can come to a place in life where you feel like that you have arrived and you've gotten everything that you're needed, that you need. But just like me, I got to that point, y'all. But what I realized, that the emptiness or the void, it didn't disappear. I've had the houses. I've had the jobs that I prayed for. I had the cars that I wanted. And I thought, y'all, that all of these things would bring happiness, or it would could complete me. But out of all of this, there was something that was still missing. And can I just talk to y'all, because it's almost like the house that I wanted. I had it, but it became almost just like another building where I had it, but I was restless. I had the cars that I wanted, but I realized that I couldn't drive away the loneliness. I couldn't drive away the emptiness. I couldn't drive away the void. I had the job, y'all, making money, making good money, but realizing that I couldn't buy peace. I couldn't buy happiness. And could I just talk to y'all? Sometimes this thing will drive you to relationship after relationship. And you find out that even relationship after relationship, marriages after marriages, it can't replace a divine connection. I can't fulfill that space of that void. So what are you saying, prophet? You could have everything in the world that you defined as success and still be spiritually bankrupt in your life. And Jesus spoke about this in Mark 8:36. He said, for what shall it profit of man if he shall gain the whole world and turn around and lose his soul? Y'all, it's not that these things are bad in themselves. They just was never meant to take God's place. Am I talking to somebody this morning? Let's be real. And as I was walking through life, trying to do everything to fill this emptiness of this void. Y'all, I'm not talking about when I was in the world. I'm talking about after I got in the church, speaking in tongues and preaching, prophesying, laying hands and declaring that he's Lord of Lords, he's King of Kings. But there was still a void. Let me just talk to you to really let you know that when it comes to an emptiness or a void, y'all, this thing just is not an emotional thing or a materialistic thing or a physical thing. It's spiritually. What you mean, prophet, is spiritual? Because it's the space where the Spirit of God desires to dwell in your life. And how many of y'all know that God designed every one of us with a built-in desire for Him? In other words, there's a part of us that longs for the communion of God. What do you mean, prophet? When some of you was in the world, you was doing what you was doing like me, and it was a point where you got so tired. But then there was a part of you that would long to be able to commune with God. Even though a lot of us wasn't trying to be in a right standing with God, but there was still a part of you that would desire to commune with God. So what are you saying, prophet? That's why nothing in this world would ever satisfy the void or the emptiness that you experience. Y'all, the most devastating thing or the most hurtful thing that I experienced is that the more I tried to fill those empty places or that void with temporary things, I find myself experiencing a deeper emptiness and a deeper void. Now let's go to Ecclesiastes 1 and 2. We all know Solomon, King Solomon. And it reads, vanity of vanities, says the preacher. This deep right here. Vanity of vanity. And he said, all is vanity. And when you begin to look at this verse, you would actually see that this was spoken by King Solomon, who was known for his wisdom, his wealth, and his success. But yet, after experiencing everything life could offer y'all, the riches, the power, the pleasure, the knowledge, and even the success, but he came to the understanding, y'all, that without God, all of this doesn't mean anything. And then, you know, I'm a word person, so I began to look up the word vanity. So when I begin to research it here, it doesn't mean proud like we use it today. Which literally means breath, vapor, or emptiness. It's describing something temporary, or something without lasting substance. So when Solomon was using the word vanity of vanities, he was emphasizing, y'all, the highest degree of emptiness. My God. So in other words, what Solomon was saying, that there's different levels when it comes to experiencing emptiness. But in other words, what he was saying, that at the end of the day, all of this has no true purpose or fulfillment when it's apart from God, y'all. And I mentioned Genesis 1 and 2. And I want to go back to that because it says the earth was without form and void. And then here Solomon is describing the human condition without God. And you can look at the activities, you can look at the position, you can look at their achievements, or what they call success. But they were spiritually empty. Solomon was a prime example. You can build kingdoms. You can gain wisdom. You can have all of the pleasure and wealth in the world. But if God isn't the center, it will all fade like vapor. And I just want to explain to you guys. This is so deep, y'all. This thing is hit my heart and my spirit. Because I'm telling y'all, nothing can fill that emptiness. Nothing, y'all. And I remember God began to show me a key. He said, son, it's just like a key in a lock. He said, every person I created, every human heart, God began to tell me, has a God-shaped lock. And the Lord told me, he said, son, and only the key of my presence can open it. And the Lord told me, he said, they can try to force other keys, such as success and money and relationship and recognitions. But the Lord told me, he said, son, what they're experiencing is that those things will never fit. And he said, even some have gotten to a place where they have turned the key halfway for a while. But at the end of the day, son, they are still left unfulfilled. And I said, God, what do you mean? And God told me. He says their success, their money, their relationships, their recognition. They thought that they could use those things to unlock what needs to be unlocked for me to come in and to fill the void of the emptiness. But also when Jesus told the woman at the well, who kept coming back trying to satisfy her thirst, y'all. with natural water. He said to her, whosoever drinks of this water, will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. And like I made mention earlier, y'all, Jesus is not just speaking about things in the physical aspect, but he was talking about the living water of his spirit that alone can satisfy the soul. I'm telling y'all, the most dangerous and the most painful thing that I experienced when I was trying to fill that void of that emptiness with everything but with God. And when I found out, y'all, when I find myself doing that, I find myself like many of y'all, becoming addicted to success and becoming addicted to relationships and becoming addicted to all form of entertainment. And even for the deep people in church, you would find yourself becoming addicted to ministry. What do you mean, prophet? Chasing moments of satisfaction that never lasted, y'all. It put me in a place, y'all, where I was experiencing cycles of disappointment that led to frustration and anxiety, depression, oppression, and self-destruction if you don't put a hold on it, y'all. And this is what I want to leave you with. But you know what was the answer to my problem? I had to surrender. I had to come to the point of realizing and understanding and telling God, I've done all I can do, and I've did all I can do to try to fill this emptiness, this void. But I had to surrender, y'all, and be honest with myself, and to be honest with God, and begin to tell God, there's no amount of effort, God. There's no level of achievement. There's no, let me help these preachers out. There's no religious routine that can satisfy only what you can satisfy, what you can only feel, God. And let's be honest. But I had to learn, y'all, that real fulfillment, it only began when I was able to surrender. I'm going to say that again. Real fulfillment only began when I was willing to surrender. And I just want to tell you that whenever you stop striving to fill the void and start allowing God to take his rightful place in your life, that's when you will begin to experience real peace. That's when your purpose, y'all, just like mine, it becomes clear. One thing that I can be a witness, I can testify, that when you allow this to happen, God doesn't just fill the void of the emptiness. He then becomes your fulfillment. And I just want to make mention before I let you go, if you're trying to fill your life with things or achievements or people, and yet you're still feeling that something is missing, you got to be able to recognize the void. But as you recognize it, don't look at it as being a thing of punishment. It's purpose. It's only a divine reminder that you are made for more than what the world has to offer you. You are made to have a relationship with God. But just like me, y'all, until He becomes your source, everything else will leave you empty. But I found out, y'all, that when He becomes your center, everything else finds its place. And I just wanted to come and talk to some people, because it's real, y'all. So y'all continue to pray for me as I continue to pray for you guys. Love you, and enjoy the rest of your morning.